welcome to yet another exciting catch-up and episode of Playing the Bounce. It's me, Dalin Oliver, and today, the pen is mightier than the sword. Spell checks, synonyms, onomatopoeia. What am I talking about? We're catching up with a journalist based in France. We'll find out where he's from in a bit. I want him to tell you himself. Your hands and mine for James Harrington. Can we clap, please? And my main man, the man with all the rugby knowledge, the stats, the insight, Benedict, what's happening? James, hi, brother.
Hi, thank you for having me on. Pleased to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, James, you're based in France, but that is not a French accent. We are South Africans. Please do tell us more.
No, it's not a French accent. I'm English. I moved over to France to just outside Toulouse about 14 years ago. Stuck around here ever since.
Lovely stuff. And you haven't picked up a French accent. The reason I say this, when South Africans move overseas, they adopt the accent of the nation that they've moved to. Well done for keeping your British accent, brother.
Thank you very much. No, my French comes with a British accent, with an English accent. It's quite, I get quite laughed at from time to time.
No, we love you just the way you are. I know Benedict's very excited to catch up with you, all about the rugby.
So I'm going to start with a very controversial statement, which could make me look like a genius or really backfire in a couple of months. I think the French are going to go bust and they're going to choke at the World Cup, for starters.
What?
That's just my opinion on this. Walk me through this. The French are hosting the World Cup. A lot of people have them as favorites. What do you think? I mean, this is a different French side. Let's be honest here.
Yes, yeah, it's different to what it was before. I hope you're wrong. I hope they go all the way and win the thing. That's what the aim is. Certainly the buzz is building right now.
Can I ask you a quick question? Who are you supporting at this World Cup?
Yeah, that's a great one. Thank you, Benedict, because it's James, you said we. And I was like,
I heard we there. So, I don't know if it's we or it's I am French. I will be supporting the French type of thing. Yeah.
Yes, I have to admit, I will be cheering on the French if in any match that they're playing.
So what do your friends back home say about this when you are in England or they message you, lad, are you watching the game?
They don't say very much about it because they know that I'm very, very deeply involved with the French game, and it's my it's what I know more these days. I know more about French game these days than I do the English game or the URC or anything like that. It's my bag, and they can't beat me on the French knowledge. So they try to stay out of it.
I love how you just put your street cred where it is. You're like, I know these things. Don't argue with me.
I mean, talking about the French league, I'm a big football fan. So
yeah,
big fan of the English Premier League. And from a marketing point of view and from almost like a hype point of view, the Premier League is the most revered league in the world. But the reality is the English Premier League is not the best league in the world. Now, when I look at rugby, I look at the French top 14. Now, it may not be as glamorous for some of us who look outside, but when you do watch the French top 14, it's something special. They've got the money. They've got probably the biggest TV deal in the world. They are self-sustainable. They've got really good structures. Is the French top 14 the perfect league in the world? They can buy people out of their contracts. Other leagues are struggling financially. Talk to me about the top 14.
There's a lot going on there. The bigger TV deal helps, obviously, and I think I'm right in saying that from next season, Canal will be paying more per season than BT did for 3 years of the English Premiership. But I mean, it's not everything. It's not as if the clubs rely entirely on TV money, and it's also not a financial Wild West out there, despite all the the billionaire owners, your Moed Altrads, your Jackie Lorenzettis, your Hans-Peter Wilds. There are very strict rules on budgets, and they are policed, and there's a salary cap, and it is watched over very carefully. I think the basis of French rugby is pretty solid. It's based on a certain amount of local parochial pride. It's why Bayonne, La Rochelle, and Toulouse sell out their crowds every single week. It's why Bordeaux averages over 27,000 crowds this season. It's why, for example, a pokey town like Castres, which is it's a town of about 40,000 or so people, it gets crowds of 10,000 plus week in, week out. Tickets are affordable, and I can watch in any given week. I can watch top 14 and Pro Leader on Canal if I can afford to do it, and I can stream the third tier National League. So I can watch the top 3 divisions, top 4. I think they've got National 2 as well. Top 4 divisions of French rugby. I can watch quite happily. I mean, my wife and kids would leave, but I can watch.
Your happiness is important as well, James. Benedict, such a great question, and I just want to jump onto it. So then you mentioned the best players of the world, and you mentioned the league and the luxury that you have if you watch the top 3 divisions. What's it been like from a journalist perspective, seeing our South African superstars come into the French league and just find their feet and receive a hero's welcome from the locals?
They do. I mean, it's massive. I mean, Ebenezer was beloved at Toulon, and they were really sad to see him go. Sia Khaleesi is going to be an absolute hero at Racing from next season. He's going to be right up there. And then further down you have Rory Cocotte of Castres Olympique, of course, who came over and did really well, has done really well. He's now defence coach at Castres. And so every club has 2-3 South African players who are absolute heroes.
I've got a curious question when it comes to crowds, because you mentioned some very interesting stats there. And when I've followed the French top 14, stadiums are always full. I mean, for example, when La Rochelle won the Champions Cup, I mean, that parade was something different. It was absolutely amazing. And I saw a game on a Sunday evening at 9 p.m. somewhere in France, and there was a full sellout crowd. I mean, what's that about? Like, don't people go to work the next day? Like, don't kids go to school? I mean, you're seeing schools, like, how passionate is passionate, man?
How passionate do you want? The French, certainly in the heartlands, the Southwest particularly, they love their rugby. They will go and watch any level of rugby. You go to a town, for example, in Fédéral, they get crowds of 1,000, 2,000 plus. In the Fed, which is amateur rugby, and people go and pay €5 or however much to go and see them play. Bordeaux, for example, I think it probably was a Bordeaux game for a full house on a Sunday night, or Toulouse. Bordeaux can help out behind the stands, behind the post. So it's €5 to get in and watch top flight rugby. Toulouse doesn't have that option, but its ticket, it has affordable tickets. It believes that you get people in, and they've bought their ticket, but they'll also buy some food and maybe a beer and all the rest of it. All adds up, all works into the coffers. So you can do so many things to get crowds going.
You mentioned snacks, and I just want to jump in there. You mentioned snacks and drinks. As a lad from the UK, now full on France, how did you adapt to the bread culture? Because I heard bread is life. I've never been, but I heard bread is life, and it takes a whole different meaning. Please tell me.
I'm on a diet right now. I'm exercising. I've cut the wine down. I've cut the bread out. I'm on a massive diet because it's impossible to stay slim in this bloody country. There's no way to do it if you just go and do all the usual things. The bread is glorious, and absolutely glorious. The food is astonishing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Good luck with the dieting. Yeah, good luck. strong.
Yeah, it sounds challenging. I mean, it's almost as challenging as I'm sure you've heard a couple of stories, but it sounds almost as challenging as it is for some people or some players to adapt in France. I mean, there are also some sad stories about players that go to France and they don't quite cut it. I mean, where French culture wants you, I think you get an appreciation from the players if you learn the language, if you immerse yourself in their culture, because the French are the French. When we watched the French back in the day, they played amazing flair rugby. Then they had a period where we didn't know what French team would pop up. Now this class is completely different. We know what to expect. And they've taken in Sean Edwards, who's really changed their defense. What does it take for players or coaches to adapt in French rugby? Because I'm 100% sure you've heard stories about why Coach X or why player X didn't cut it in France.
It's a long way home for a lot of people. South Africa to France is not a short distance. Australia to France is a long way. New Zealand to France, and yes, there is a cultural difference between France and elsewhere. There's a physical distance between even England, even going to England, it can take a long time. You've got to be aware of that even before you arrive. You've got to be prepared to accept it's not easy to move to another country. It's not easy to move to another culture, and the sort of Latin culture of France is very different to the Anglo-Saxon culture of the UK, of Ireland. It's very different to the South African culture. It's very different to Australia and all the rest of it. So it's getting to grips with that is hard. It's easier to find people who know what you're going through and stick with them as much as possible and let them help you get out there and deal and get used to it.
You speak with the compassion of a father, and you can hear it's from the heart. It's deep. It's good. It's real. Yeah, it's real. Well done. You survived, what, 14 years plus?
14 years. Years.
Well done. I don't know what congratulations is in French, but I'll say bonjour. And then
it's félicitations.
Felicitas, yeah, congrats.
Before I wrap it
up, I know you got some more rugby questions.
I've got one last one. I'm going to put you on the spot here and go, James, who are your final four at the Rugby World Cup? Your last four? Who's in the final? Who's winning it?
The Springboks, and who's the other three?
Oh no! There are too many possibilities right now. Too many strong teams have got a shout. I mean, let's be honest here. The top two teams in the world haven't actually won a World Cup.
Yes.
The number one team in the world hasn't gone past the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Who would bet against? Who's going to bet against Ireland right now?
Oof,
yeah,
and then again, who would bet against France at home? I know you would. I know Benedict would, but it's not impossible that these two teams could meet in the quarters. So one of them's got to go home. But then again, who'd want to bet against, as you pointed out, who would want to bet against South Africa, doing what New Zealand did in 2011 and 2015? And then, of course, let's look at New Zealand as well. They're the third-ranked team in the world. Yes, they've been disappointing over the past 12 months or so, but how can you ignore New Zealand and their record and the fact that they're still, despite all the disappointment, still the third best team in the world according to the rankings? So you've got the five best sides in the world on one side of the draw. You've got world champions ranked at 6 and 7. It's crazy. It's a crazy situation right now. I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it because
great rugby. We're going to have a great World Cup. Yeah. Rugby fans should be screaming from the rooftops about how competitive France 2023 is going to be, because it's going to be off the scale, and it's almost impossible there's 8 teams could do it. Six are in with a serious shout of getting into the last 4. Trying to work out all the permutations, given the draw,
given and everything else. It just can't be done. It can't be done. Except Benedict, who's booted out France, so they're crashing and burning.
I don't know what you're talking about. In my mind, it's only South Africa, but I respect you. I respect you. James, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This was such a lekker catch up, and all the best, brother. Enjoy France, enjoy the World Cup, and we'll be watching you for your articles, especially when you write about the Springboks winning the World Cup.
Thank you so much, James.
Doing it. Take care, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Bye.
Here we go. Nice and simple. Just like in the game of rugby, you too can play the bounce in life. We call it the change science. It's very simple. Go here, the change exchange, to get all the details. Stop looking at me. Go over here. Click, click, click. Change exchange. Away.